So I was just telling the boys, I moved into a new place, and the closet is like right across from my bed, and it's a big closet, and the doors of the closet are mirrors.
Nice.
And it is hot as all dick in here, but I can't turn on the what's it called, the AC or the fan, because otherwise you guys are gonna fucking hear it and won't, you know. And it's boiling here, so like fuck it, I'm gonna strip. I was just telling the guys while they were talking about something completely unrelated. I was just looking at myself like, I've never noticed how curly my chest hair is.
You know what? It's so fucking hot where I am at right now as well, and the AC can also not be turned on out of respect to the viewership. So let's do a proper bro recording right now. I'm also gonna take off my fucking shirt, and our hairy chests are going to connect from continent to continent, and our spirits, our hearts unify. Exactly. Mine is I have a very hairy chest, but it's not curly. It's very like straight, and it's very very dark. Except for like I kind of find it cool, like right in the middle between my male titties, the chest hair, male pecs, obviously. I have a bit of like melanin deficiency or whatever, and I have a very short line of just perfectly white hair. So it's like very black hair and then a small line of white hair. It looks like I'm an anime character or some shit.
Or maybe a skunk.
That's the daddy special, don't worry. It's you look like you will have many lovers that people will be like, that person's too young for him.
But look at how okay, you were nice and then you made it into a horrible fucking thing. But JT, this piece of shit, just called me a fucking skunk. Go fucking. You know what? He's probably jealous. Do you even have chest hair, JT? Do you even have chest hair?
I keep mine trimmed, boy. You gotta be streamlined.
Dude, I'm gonna engage in some machoism here, but a man ain't a man if he trimming that fucking chest or leg hair. Unless you're an athlete. I'm kidding. Nice, you guys. It's your bodies. Really, Hakim, I started talking to the liberal in the room a lot more than you lately. I apologize. Yeah.
I'm glad.
It's spreading through the air.
That's why it's been quiet on my end. What was it? I was gonna say something. I remember I saw this video. I think it was in Pakistan, or maybe it was in the Arab world. I don't remember, but it was somebody. Do you hear that? There's somebody yelling outside. What the fuck is that?
I didn't, but you mentioned Pakistan, so somebody was like, "Pakistan, greatest country. I defend Pakistan. I will invent cure to death so that the Pakistan army can destroy India." Oh, it's fucking crazy the whole time.
But if people don't know what we're talking about, just write "Wow, great army" into YouTube. You'll see it.
And much respect to our Pakistani brothers and sisters in
of course, love.
But yeah, that video is really funny.
But what I was gonna say was, fuck, now you made me lose my train of thought. The
guy screaming outside of the goddamn fucking window made you lose your train of thought. And probably you being mesmerized by yourself, looking in the mirror and imagining mine and JT's face, but on your perfectly sculpted body.
Fuck, whatever. I forgot what I was gonna say. It's gonna come back to me. But anyways, something else, by the way. I apologize to anybody listening right now that might hear birds fucking yelling outside my door. My window, excuse me. Again, I moved, and I happen to be next to what I would graciously refer to as a stagnant fucking pool of water. It is dog shit, but some people like to think it's a place to fish, and fish somehow congregate there. And wherever fish are, these fucking piece of shit I don't know, are they seagulls? I don't know, they're big, and they're white, and they're disgusting. They shit everywhere. I don't know what they are, but they are, and they yell all the fucking
Welcome to my
time.
world.
Night, day, it is, yeah. Hey, at least you have a tropical bird. At least it's something like, ooh, a fucking fancy, right?
It is, but it sounds like somebody is sexually harassing it all the time. It's like, it doesn't sound pleasant to the ear at all. It's not like beep, 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 poo, poo, poo. It sounds like it's not having the greatest of times, which it probably isn't, walking around like a restaurant or whatever.
But anyways, all right, about... do you guys want to hear about my first week at the new job?
Oh, yes, tell us.
Shoot.
All right, I've changed focus. I'm still in medicine, no worries, but I'm no longer in what the closest was family medicine. Before now, I'm in emergency medicine, and in a huge hospital. And I was like, finally, like now I want to see like old people and like touch balls and fucking finger dudes. And I kid you, working at my first three patients was a guy who was bleeding out of his asshole.
Oh my god.
so I need to finger him. And then the other
At least
guy
it should be
was a
easy
dude
with the
large
blood. It
balls.
should go in much easier. The blood lubes it up.
Okay, enough.
Or is the blood more like dry? Does it dry? I mean, blood dries,
Jesus.
but like you move it around a bit so it's not as dry, and you go right in. It's also nice.
Anyways,
it's
it
like-
wasn't that much blood. It wasn't that much. It was enough to warrant the attention, but not,
Okay.
The second guy was a guy with swollen balls, and I think we have a new contender for the
largest one.
balls. So that was, and then the third guy was a guy with just like fucking tenderness in his balls, but some other things that made it an acute case. But regardless, that was very fun. I thought I'd escape this, but it follows me wherever I go. It's like a curse.
I mean, you summon what you want in life. And you have,
Yeah,
you're
this is not
kind
what I
of obsessed
want,
with
okay?
balls and assholes, and I guess it's gonna keep coming. I mean, you literally have a podcast with two assholes, so that's why your day job keeps bringing you balls, to your attention all the time.
But otherwise, no. There's not much interesting. Just a bunch of very sick people. So, or people who are not sick at all, but they just decide to show up, and you're like, "What the fuck? Get out!"
That's what I felt like
that's the
today. I went to my girlfriend has been complaining that I snore too much, so I went to the doctor that does mouth, ears, and nose. She was a
ENT,
specialist for all three at the same time. I didn't know you could be that. Like I thought you had to be individual.
Yeah, it's one specialty. ENT. Yeah,
Okay, there we go. We learned something new. And I went, and she was a lovely lady, etc., etc. And she checked them, and she was like, "Okay, your nose is broken." I was like, "Yeah, it was broken because of kickboxing back in the day." And she's like, "Do you want to fix it?" I'm like, "I'm not sure. Is it directly going to influence my health?" She was like, "No, probably not. For like 10, 20 years, you're getting enough oxygen, etc., etc. But if you are having trouble breathing, then yes, I would suggest a surgery. Just know it's kind of painful and kind of a pain in the ass, etc., etc." But we started a conversation, but she was like, "Okay, but why are you here?" And I was like, "My girlfriend's complaining I'm snoring too much." And she looked at me and she was like, "Yeah, it's because your nose is broken. You need to lose like at least 5 to 10 kilos." And I was like, "But I knew that. But can we, like, is there something else that we could do?" She was like, "Yeah, I can like prescribe you shit to put up your nose, but I'm not going to do that. Just lose some weight and maybe one day do a surgery." So why am I saying this? Because she literally looked like, why did I just spend 30 minutes with you, dude? Like, what the fuck? Like, okay, you're snoring. Yes, my husband probably does as well. Every fucking guy on planet Earth snores at some point. So yeah, it was semi awkward, but it ended on a nice note. She literally made a joke like, should I write something on the note to give to your girlfriend so she stops complaining about your snoring? I was like, no, thank you. That would be worse. But yeah, when I came home, I was like, yeah, I'll just keep snoring until I lose weight or somebody breaks my nose again. So yeah, we'll see.
I think yeah, the quickest way is just to go down a bit in weight. Otherwise, yeah, you don't want the CPAP machine. You don't want to look like fucking Darth Vader.
She said I'm not
That's the thing
close
that
to
you
that.
want,
I'm not
yeah.
close to that.
But yeah, it is. I don't think there's anything less sexy.
Yeah, imagine waking up
Turning
like
over to your
extra Darth
significant other.
motherfucking Vader. Probably a
Just
person
fucking
like with
seeing
a
that fucking-
CPAP set up right
fucking
now,
thing.
listening to the podcast
Jesus
before
Christ.
going to bed. They were like, "Come on, me." They really like out of all the groups they made fun of. I never thought they would get so
I'm
niche
sorry.
to make fun of me and my CPAP machine. No, of course.
Look, hey, you live your best life. Live your best life, okay? I just, yeah. But yes, thank you for sharing. And welcome back to the Deprogram, everybody. Today we'll be having a little bit more of a lighter topic because, the previous few have been a bit heavier, and the upcoming ones will also probably be a bit heavy, so we can have something kind of chill. Today we're going to be discussing the ideology of food. Yes.
Yum yum.
Yes, exactly. And how white people don't season their food.
Okay.
There's gonna be a few of those jokes. I'm sorry. it's all meant in good faith. Anyways, in jest, not in good faith. Jesus Christ, that was an incredibly transparent moment on my part. Yes, it is in good faith.
Hakeem is pale enough for us to be able to call this white on white crime.
Yeah, oof. Oh my god. Funnily enough, I don't think I am.
No,
But
I
you're
know.
right.
I'm fucking.
Actually, no. Yeah. No, because then people get like, oh fuck you. I remember some guy commented on one of my like Twitter things, and he was like, oh yeah, I came just a guy from Long Island. First of all, I don't know, is Long Island New York? I don't fucking know. Is there a short island? That's why it's called Long Island? I don't fucking know. I actually played around with the idea of changing my location on my Twitter, not from Long Island to Short Island, because apparently Short Island is actually a place, to middle-sized island. Just making fun of these fucking people. But anyways,
average-sized island.
But yeah, no.
We're
exactly
where the three of us would never go, because we would only go to small island, obviously.
But anyways, what was I gonna say? Exactly. Some people are actually gonna believe. It's like, oh, he's white. They said it. They admitted it. I was like, nah. I'm sorry. I have never once gotten a sunburn. That's in the heat of our sun. That is impressive.
Sorry,
right.
go on.
Yes. No, sorry, my audio peaked to shit. JT, I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good.
All right. Anyways, back to food. I thought we could kind of like just slide into it more easily. We can mention a few of our favorite foods, and then we can talk about the ideology of just food in general. Because fuck it, it's our podcast. We can do whatever the fuck. Not everything has to be like, yes, well, in fucking, I don't know, 1936, Tito said, suck my balls. And the entire Nazi war machine crumbled from the inside, right? Anyways. Yeah, more accurately, probably would have been Stalin saying that.
We saved ourselves as well under the Great. Okay,
that's
now
true.
It's a core conversation.
That's true.
Yeah, let's concentrate on.
But anyways,
on
I was gonna say,
and not just not just food, but like the experience of sharing food. And what where I'm from, we call it the table. Stol, masa, whatever. Like the experience of sitting down at the table. Which yes, it's 98% food, but 2% of like the cultural exchange and cultural significance and class significance, as we'll talk, of sharing a meal with each other, which I think is one of the greatest, most beautiful things, while at the same time being literally the simplest thing, getting nutrients into your body, but shared amongst your loved ones, respected ones, or in the case when I eat with the two of you, people that I just have to tolerate because Jesus Christ, we have a podcast together, is important. Like, yes, it's a soft topic, but it is a very important topic because you spend at least 3 hours a day on it, and if you cook, you spend 5 hours a day, just taking care of this sort of shit. So yes, please.
A parable, I guess, would be a way to ease into this topic. Would be I want you both to share. Imagine I'm gonna invite you to both of you, and then you guys invite us. Whatever the fuck. And the food that you'd serve and how you would tell us to start eating. I will start with my absolute favorite dish of all time. Some people like it, some people might not. It's something called khuzi. It is basically like a lamb shank that's slow cooked over like 5-6 hours. It's absolutely delicious, served on a bed of rice with nuts and all. It's delicious, absolutely. And it can be heavy or light depending on your mood. Absolutely my favorite food. I'd invite you guys over, and because you fuckers wouldn't stop talking and we wouldn't get to the food, I would yell at you. I'd be like, "Hey guys, let's nitzeknab." Now, this Arabic word, which is I think only in Iraq, I don't think it's even an Arabic word actually, but it's something only Iraqis say, and what it literally means is when you're frustrated with somebody, you want them to eat. It's like the best translation would be, "Let's take part in the poison." That's what it is. It's like, eat the fucking poison. Yeah. Is what that means. But we mean the food. So that's what I would tell you. It's Zaknab Sam Khuzi. Anyway, what about you guys?
Let's see. I think if I were to be invited to your humble abode, or if you were to come to mine, I think I would have to serve, let's do chili, because I want to prove to you people that white people sometimes do season their food and have nice spice to it. I make a good... go ahead.
Isn't chili like Mexican food? Like chili and chili con carne? Isn't
chili con carne? Yeah, I don't know if chili as a whole is a Mexican food. It's very popular in places like Texas.
It's what you would feed us. Come on, don't be a dick.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm being
if you're limiting it to American food, all I've got is like a burger maybe, and that's not not good.
No, it's very good.
Go on.
Fuck off. Like, burgers are great. It's very good, but a lot of people made burgers
with like blue cheese and stuff.
So.
Yeah, that's very good.
No, I'm saying burgers are good, but I can take burgers away from you as well, because there's been plenty of burgers before you. Okay, I'm not gonna go that far.
All right, fine. I've got Hot Pockets. I've got Lunchables. Those are.
Oh, there we go.
What about a Twinkie? Give me a Twinkie.
Smoothies. Okay. Smoothies. smoothies. These motherfuckers invented
Jesus
smoothies.
Christ.
These motherfuckers for
did
sure
we?
invented. Yeah, because you invented the thing that
No,
goes
my
bzzz and eats up all my fucking carrots and fucking shit. It goes bzzz. And then somebody hands it to me in my part of the world and says $20. It's healthy. I'm like, what the fuck? No, I like smoothies. Sorry, please continue, my friend.
No.
Have you the bzz was invented to get for the fucking what's it called, the people arriving on what the fuck, what's the immigrant island right
Ellis
outside
Island?
New York that all the people
Ellis Island.
Ellis Island, yeah, everybody arriving on Ellis Island, they stick
Pork
they stick their hands
intestines
in
and
whatever it's like.
pork intestines and like nails and like teeth from pork and there you go. But that's basic. But no, that's basically wurst. Like all wursts are basically that.
Yeah.
Most of it. But yeah.
Anyways, sorry, go on. Yes,
Anyway,
I'm really sorry.
yes. I would cook some a nice pot of chili. I would use probably ghost peppers because that gives a nice heat to it. You guys like spicy food, right?
Of course.
Yeah,
Oh,
boy.
dude.
Okay, good. All right, because it's super spicy. Do that. Ground beef. Obviously all the stuff that goes in chili. So peppers like Anaheim, jalapeno, ghost pepper, tomato, that sort of thing. A bunch of chili seasonings. It's pretty straightforward stuff. But also important is a nice crusty loaf of bread for the side, because that is, I think, the best way to start eating chili is to tear off a piece of the bread, dip it in the chili, have that. Oh, it's delicious.
Chili's
or
great.
if you want to go super super fancy with it, take those loaves of bread. One of us, each of us gets one of those loaves of bread, hollow it out, and then put the chili in the bread bowl. That is so good.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Sounds
Yeah, I've
sick.
seen that before. I've seen images of this stuff. I've never tried it. I've always wanted to have
it's
a bread bowl.
delicious.
That sounds
You would
fucking
like it.
lit.
I tried it
My
twice,
God.
I think.
That's what we'll do for you when
I
you
think,
visit.
I don't think there's a person that doesn't like chili. Like, right, JT? Like, do you know a fellow U.S. citizen that doesn't like...
Kelsey's not big on chili, believe it or not. But
Oh, damn.
yeah.
Oh, we lost a
Oh, but
real
no,
one.
no, now I'm going to be a dick and hopefully she's listening. But she is an immigrant. Of course, she cannot understand real American culture. How
That
can
is
an
true,
immigrant
yeah,
understand
yeah.
this? Pure spits on ground. Too. Doesn't understand chili. You see proof that it is only naturalized born Americans that can understand true American culture. These
Exactly.
guys
You need
come
the
here
green
and they're
card.
like,
You
oh,
need
it's white, blue, and red. Why isn't it the white, blue, and purple, motherfucker? But yeah, go on. Yeah.
that's all I've got. That's my I
Okay.
think ideal meal to serve you guys. So you Gopnik, what you got?
Sounds fantastic. Like I can go full cheat code, and I know both of you could have gone full cheat code and like enumerate like 20 different things that you would put on the table. Because where I'm from,
Because that's what it would be, actually.
yeah, where I'm from, it's like we're about quality, but we're big time about quantity as well. So if there cannot be a like loose little hole, except the holes in between plates, when it comes to filling up the table, especially when people are like officially coming over to your place for a proper meal, not just a random like modern definition of a party or whatever. When it's for a proper meal or when it's a proper family gathering, etc., it goes from one end of the table to the other. We'll discuss this later, but I think this is kind of the case in most cultures. I just think that we really take it to the next level. But okay, so if I had to pick like one particular thing that I would serve you, I don't think I would be able to pick, because the specific way that barbecue is prepared, and not barbecue, can't call it barbecue, we just call it skara. We call it stuff that is made on the barbecue. But because of the insanely long history of animal husbandry, is that what it's called, where I'm from, and the ability and just the geographical region having these ideal perfect 4 seasons allows us to have all of our animals at like absolute 100% peak health, which leads to food that, yes, we season it, but that is so rich in taste that you would not even necessarily need to season it. But still, all of you experienced meats, etc. So in order to properly like introduce you to my part of the world, I would serve you something that also like probably exists in the Arab world, in the Turkish world for sure, which is stuffed peppers. It doesn't sound like much, but it actually takes 5-6 hours minimum to prepare properly. And it's literally, Google stuffed peppers. I cannot explain it properly, but it is not just a pepper
Don't
like
let
an
me know.
organic pepper. It's like it's all cooked. There's minced meat, onions, spices, rice,
Doma.
Yeah, and then it's stuffed inside of a dried, usually slash cooked, whatever, but necessary for it not to contain water inside of it. Pepper, and it's usually made the stuffed peppers, and in parallel, since you were like, okay, I'm gonna be making this for a long time, you also make sarma, which is basically the same thing, in my opinion, a bit tastier, but it's wrapped in the, how do I say this in English? The leaves of of grape trees, of wine trees, you know. And they're super tiny.
boy.
They're like a one bite experience.
boy.
And then you have that on this big plate, and everybody grabs their own paprika, and then their own sarma, and then depending on on your taste, usually I love it. You take a bunch of sour milk, or you guys call it yogurt, Greek yogurt, maybe you would call it. You drop it on top because it's gonna be super fucking hot, and then the milk is gonna get it a bit chiller. You mix it up, you cut it up with the paprika, and it just creates such an original taste, which is so incredibly filling. And the reason why I picked it out of the 10,000 foods that I could present is because it is as simple as meat, rice, paprika, or meat, rice, wine leaf, and yet if it's done properly and made not too greasy, not greasy enough, it creates such a taste explosion that I've been to restaurants where you have to pay half of your fucking salary and to eat one meal, and they're not even 10,000 kilometers close to what a random grandma can cook up in her stove built by I don't know, the Soviets or the Yugoslavs in 1957. You know. So yes, paprika palaci and sarma, big time.
Absolutely amazing choices. I was gonna say this leads really well into our point, the next point, which is the idea of food culture, or basically the idea of national cuisine, and how really, if you look into the history of it all, there is no such thing. Because of course the idea of modern nation states is something that came after most food cultures already took place. For the most part, there's certain foods that coalesced around different. The United States being one of those, for example, because it's a nation of immigrants, except not the brown ones. the darker ones came against their will. The brown ones. But yeah, anyways, the United States is an interesting exemption, I guess you could say. Even then, not really. But most countries that formed organically, quote unquote, organically, have certain food culture that is basically not only specific to that area, to that country, but usually much more prevalent in the areas around. And if you take a look at it, it exists in the spectrum across the area. I'll give an example.
It's
so
regional
you understand exactly what I mean.
Go on.
Yeah, exactly. But also you see this slow transition. I'll give a good example. If you were to start from Lebanon and then just go east, so Lebanon through Syria and Jordan into Iraq, Iran, and then to Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India, you'll see that all of these countries have fairly similar cuisines on the base of it. A lot of us we have either bread-based or rice-based dishes. We have lots of stews. The stew composition is usually very similar to each other. The spices that we use are usually very similar to each other. Each individual area has one spice that's more special to it. For example, the Persians like to use a lot more saffron, for example. While in other places it could be different things. The Shami people, Lebanese and whatnot, love to use pomegranate everything instead. But the base is very similar. An interesting perspective is spice. When you go from Lebanese food, which is not very spicy, and into Syrian and Iraqi food, again, not very spicy. It's very well seasoned, all of it, but none of it's very hot, right? You go into Iran, if in the eastern parts of Iran, you start encountering small amounts of heat. You go into Afghanistan, you start seeing actual spice, actual chilies being used. Then you enter into Pakistan, India, where you see a lot more of it being used. And this gradient exists, right? And of course, the reason that this exists is for the same reason that pretty much every other aspect of culture exists, because of trade routes, because of intermarriage.
Geography.
Yeah, exactly. And one example I would like to link in as the concrete example within this very podcast is the similarities of the food I eat and the similarities of the food that Yugopnik eats.
Yep.
Whenever you guys have probably noticed on this podcast, whenever he mentions a food or I mention a food, both of us immediately recognize, and JC is just in a corner. I don't know what the fuck these people are talking about.
I feel like we're ripping flipping people off because we told them this is a ultra international podcast with people from 3 corners of the world, but it's from 2 corners of the world. Let's be honest. I'm starting to get what I'm saying. But no. It's from 1 corner of the world because the world shall be united one day under the great flag of class unity. Okay.
Yes.
Now people are going to be like, oh, you wanted imperialism, destroy culture. Oh, I really should stop. Hakeem, please take him back. Take him back. Take him out of my walls.
Okay. I am sleeping like a baby. I'm sorry. You can keep it. Give him to JT next.
Oh, please.
But yeah,
he's already in America. They don't have to. Liberals don't sleep in walls there. They're literally your neighbors. Okay,
that took me a second. But yeah, and of course other examples. I remember I went to a Uzbeki restaurant once in a different place, and I was very struck by how Arab almost the food was, but they used a lot more potato, which is more relevant to their particular, especially the proximity to Russia. And if you're familiar with Russia, Soviet agriculture, blah, 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 blah. But that was just something very interesting to know. Anyways, my point being is that the fact that Yugopnik and I grew up eating very similar foods, despite the fact that almost everything else is different. We come from different religions, different cultures overall, different ethnic groupings, different languages, etc. Food is very interesting in that the food that we ate was related. And also, another thing that is interesting to notice that the food that's usually eaten, the most popular dishes, aren't the dishes of the wealthy people across the different time periods. The foods that are usually most commonly eaten are those of working class people, the common people. As a perfect example is this the warq anab. This you call it sarap.
Mm-hmm.
As an example, it is literally the leaf of a fucking tree you have in your garden, or a bush more like, and some rice that you have left over, and if you can get some bits of animal fat or even a bit of meat, you just stuff it in, and then there you go, you have an absolutely delicious meal that the wealthiest people wouldn't ever look at because, this shit is fucking common people food. You can actually find this. You don't need to go diving fucking 6 kilometers into the Marianas Trench to find this shit. But yeah, I was wondering, could you guys give me examples of certain foods that are, like the very working class, or not working class, but like commoner people food from the place you come from? JT would be more interesting, actually, because you're American. I'm wondering what there is. But yeah, either one of you go on.
Well, there are actually a bunch of examples in the U.S., and one of the famous ones is a po' boy in New Orleans, which has since spread to a lot of other places. So the name po' boy literally comes from poor boy. So this was in sometime in the 1920s. A couple of streetcar conductors started making these sandwiches for railway employees when they went on strike. And they originally called the strikers themselves poor boys, and somehow the name just kind of stuck for the sandwich. So it's like the food that comes to mind when you think of New Orleans, either that or beignets or muffaletta. Actually, the muffaletta is a really good example of immigrant cuisine enriching American culture. It was supposedly invented by Sicilian immigrants in New Orleans around 1900 or so, 1906, I think. And if you haven't had a muffaletta, you should absolutely try one. It's a sandwich on a circular bun or loaf. Not really a bun because it's a proper piece of bread, not like a hamburger bun. And it's stuffed with olive salad and assorted meats and cheeses. And it was originally intended as a kind of celebratory meal during Mardi Gras before Lent, where people have to give up certain foods for a while. And that's why it's popular. It's got all that good stuff you're supposed to give up for Lent. So really, to me, New Orleans is a perfect example of immigrant culture and the poorer culture, or not poorer culture, you know what I mean, the lower income food kind of melding with local culture to create something beautiful and better than the sum of its parts. And Cajun cuisine, for example, is some of the best food in the world, in my opinion. But there are tons of examples of this. Like here in Texas, Mexican food it's amazing. It's the working class food around here. Like there are taco trucks all over the place. There you can find like a little hole in the wall Mexican place. It's going to have some of the best food you can get. And people like in Dallas will try to make a fancy version of a Mexican restaurant and charge like $20 a plate, and it's just garbage compared to any
But
hole
it's
in the wall
Indian,
Mexican place you
Japanese,
can find.
Mexican fusion, JT, please, all right? Run by some guy named Kyle.
Oh, give me authentic Mexican street food any day of the week over whatever fancy slop these people put out. But yeah, absolutely. The food of the working class is more often than not, it's more wholesome, it's filling, it's satisfying, and it's something that people gather to share and not like, dress up in a tuxedo to go have at a restaurant.
I wouldn't really have much to add except for like something that might be kind of prevalent wherever you go, but not a lot of people notice it because I guess not a lot of people interact with vastly different income brackets. I have the privilege or disprivilege of on a basically daily basis being able to interact with old money, new money, and people with no money. And what I notice when it comes to food culture is that a lot of new money people that have managed to, we all know how capitalism works, so it's not necessarily only with their own two hands or blah, blah, blah. But let's say people who have not inherited too much wealth from their parents and they managed to build something up, are this new money cultural class, if I can call it that, which was never introduced to the world of posh cuisine, posh dressing, posh way of life. These dudes played soccer with us when they were growing up. They ate the same type of food. They drank the same type of booze. They listened to the similar type of music. They didn't go horse riding. They didn't play polo, etc., etc. So why am I talking about this? Because at one point they made a lot of money, and then they started being allowed into these new higher echelons of society, which now gave them their time because, let's be honest, old money is kind of running out as it always does. It eats its own children. So they need a new influx of new cash. So they have to interact with the so-called new bourgeois, which they don't really respect, but they have to interact with because they need their money, be it as investors, be it as a social class that they interact with in order to upkeep their own status, because the new money people end up having sometimes even more money than them. But what the new money people have realized to one extent or the other is that they don't like the shit that the ultra wealthy like. As I said, he kicked a ball. He didn't ride a horse and hit the ball with a large wooden stick. And he was raised on the sarmaz and the punya paprika that they talked about previously, etc., etc., and the redneck, fat-filled fucking meat that was grilled right in front of him in his 5 square meter yard when he was a kid. So no matter how much they want, and for a very long time I feel like they really wanted to integrate into old money society, I can really see how they are kind of pissed off about just how non-integratable they can be in it. So what I've noticed is, yes, there is the working class food, and then there is extremely posh, expensive food that's usually just simulated to be perceived as expensive through advertising and so on, than actually being expensive because it takes a lot of money to create it. But the only thing I wanted to add to the conversation is that there seems to be a new buildup of a new, what I could call, a food culture class, where it is the wealthy reappropriating poor people food in order to say, yes, we're the wealthy, but we're not like the bad wealthy. I will drink rakia with you. I love burgers. I will, use my hands to dip the hummus, and it's this whole new movement which I cannot necessarily shit on, because yes, they're the enemy class, the bourgeois, etc., but at least they have stopped thinking that they are also culturally superior. They went and they saw the old school bourgeois and they said, okay, we are superior because we're smarter than these motherfuckers and we can make more money, which is what every rich person thinks like. But there's a switch in which people are like, okay, yes, we're smarter than these peasants, but maybe the peasants have it figured out when it comes to how to cook a nice fucking steak, So yeah, that's how I wanted to contribute to the conversation, the specific type conversation, because I found it very fascinating, and I'm pretty sure that everybody in their own environment can find these types of people also growing. Because it kind of teaches us that posh food, nobody really liked. They were just pretending to like it because that's what other posh people are liking. But now, like, new money rich are like, I don't want to pretend anymore, dude. I want the actual food. And it's a little switch, which is very interesting.
Actually, an interesting point to add on to that, like pulling back on your point a bit, which is the point on scarcity in relation to the food of the ruling class, or usually the incredibly wealthy, and how it's based mostly on not objective factors like taste or texture or something like that. It's based on almost solely how difficult is it to acquire, how difficult is it to prepare, how skilled does the person need to be in order to prepare it correctly, all of it just to reflect wealth, right? Like I know in some countries there are certain traditions where if you're to pop one champagne bottle, you're supposed to pop two and pour one down the drain to show off how wealthy you are. I think they do this in some parts of Europe, at least amongst like really what's called upper class people. Another thing is, and this is a modern example, back in the day it used to be lobster, which was the thing, but especially in Western Europe, Northwestern Europe, and the United States, it was a poor people food and then became a rich person food because of reasons. And a modern example is black caviar, which for the longest time has been simple of the old bourgeoisie and all that bullshit, until the big dick Chinese came into the picture and they're like, we can mass produce this basically. And now you see the Economist and Bloomberg going like, fucking China's killing the fucking caviar industry because it's making it accessible to poor people.
And in parts of Russia, my Russian friends in parts of Russia where they would lived really close to where caviar was made, and then they went abroad to study. They literally tell me it was a culture shock. Like people would like spend like $300-$400 for a little box of caviar. What the fuck? Like I literally just had caviar for breakfast. Like it was like whatever. So again, goes towards the point that yes, geography, etc., but a lot of the marketing that you hear that it's extremely rare or difficult to get is usually just completely made up. It takes as much money to fill up a truck with caviar from a region where it's made as it costs to fill it up with chickens, respectfully.
Yes, I want to actually give another interesting perspective, and this is kind of half in jest, but also I just find the story funny and interesting. But sometimes there are certain foods that you're like, hey, this has to be like from this area, like the country that you're from. Why would it have a connection to this other culture? It's so far away. But hey, things happen. I'll give an example. I think most people are aware of the IKEA Swedish meatball thing,
IKEA,
right? Yeah, IKEA, what the I don't care.
I prefer their hot dogs. I go there for the hot dogs. There's like 30-cent hot dogs. I don't know.
Been, so.
They have hot dogs, and they're actually horrible, but they're hot dogs. Like all hot dogs are horrible, and it's actually good. Yeah, sorry. Please go on. But yeah, IKEA hot dogs, try them. Don't do the meatballs. Go where you have to stand and they sell hot dogs. They literally cost, I don't know, like 20 cents, like a realistic price of hot dog. And they're good. Yeah. IKEA sponsor this spot. I'm kidding. We do not take sponsors. Yes, please go on.
Yeah. Anyways, but what I was saying is the idea of Swedish meatballs. It's the Swedish thing. It's the image of fucking Sweden. What else is Sweden known for? Fucking matches? I don't know. I think matches and TNT. Those are Swedish inventions.
Suicide.
Yeah. Oh yes, that. Stockholm syndrome. But anyways, what was I gonna say? Yeah, the entire thing is actually, it's a fucking meme. It's a facade. Swedish meatballs aren't Swedish; they're Turkish. The Swedish king got a bit of an ego. I mean, like Swedes, they had a period called, I think, the Great Power Period. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but they wanted to play at being an empire. They went and fucked with the Polish, and they went and fucked with Russia a bit, and they were defeated in Poltava, which is in Ukraine, on the Ukraine, and the Swedish king and his army Yeah, exactly. And the Swedish king and his army basically fled to what was the Ottoman Empire. And these people were supposed to stay for a couple of days, but they were like, "Fuck Sweden!" And they stayed for like years because good weather and good food and everything. Right? They're like, "Yeah, fuck this. We're not going back." So basically, they had to be kicked out. But when they came back to Sweden, they brought two things with them. They brought coffee. And they brought the Swedish meatballs, which are kufte, which basically exactly. See, everybody in the podcast, minus JT, knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's a bit of mincemeat that you put seasoning on, and then put cut up onions, and then you form it into basically like a little patty, almost like a meatball, and then you grill it, or you fry it, or you can even throw it in soups if you want.
But they had to go full Scandinavian. They had to make it into a perfect ball, and they call it a meatball. Yeah. A kufte is not a perfect ball, but they had to make it like sorry, I get it.
It's like almost like it's like why? It's like you take a ball and you flatten it a bit, so it's a bit like it's wide. Burger. Yeah, exactly. That's how it's supposed to be.
It's a tiny burger, but they made it into a ball.
Yeah, it's delicious.
It is, but why make
it
into a ball?
Made it into a ball, and they made it into a ball, and they took out all the seasoning.
But they put the sauce on top at least. But yeah, continue.
Okay, fine, yeah. But yes, this is an example of something that is basically, it defines a nation almost in its cuisine, but it came from basically the other side of the globe. And there are many more interesting examples
Can I do a super controversial one? It will take me 15 seconds.
Go ahead.
Super controversial. I've researched it. I watched it in a very good documentary, and it was made by this incredible chef. And I think he knew what he was talking about. And then I Googled it later, and et cetera, et cetera. But like South American people lose their mind when this is mentioned. Tacos. Middle Eastern people migrated to South America, and they couldn't make tuners. So they used whatever they could find, and they created a taco. I am sorry, but it did not get born in South America. Yes, but no, gyros in Greece, a tuner in usually the Muslim world. Turkey, if I need to generalize, because it goes from Turkey to over the like Arab states to like Persian states, etc., etc. All those three, the taco, the gyros, which is Greek, and the tuner, at the end of the day, are the same thing, but they use vastly different, ingredients. And from everything that I've learned, be it from that documentary or from what I've read, but that's so beautiful. There are migrants that went from the Middle East over to South America. They felt homesick. I think it was specifically the Lebanese from the conversation. They felt homesick, so they wanted to make the food from home, but they made the bread, the pita or whatever from a different quote-unquote material, and then they had what they could afford now as immigrants in this new country to put inside of the new version of the tuner / gyros, and they created the taco. But I know before you all South Americans in comments are going to be like, yes, that's why we call this the Lebanese taco. The taco is actually from like ancient this and that. This is what I know. Don't attack me. And it's actually not something you should be against. It's such a beautiful story of two from a modern perspective, of ultra Catholic South America and Muslim Middle East coming together, such far away points on the globe, and creating a food which today is one of the most recognizable, most tasty, and most celebrated pieces of cuisine on planet Earth. And it kind of shows, now full cliche mode, you got Nick. It shows what we can do when we band together. Oh, okay. My dick literally fell off saying that, but you get my point.
But also an interesting thing to add, this is with the mixing of cultures and all that, that's not also to take away from the native cultures of that. And Yugoslav wasn't trying to do this, of course.
The liberals went back to your walls. The liberals went back to
exactly. But yeah, nobody's detracting from in fact, the very
but a liberal brain would die in that conversation. Because you know why? Because a liberal brain would be like, okay, so they are attacking the native culture of South America, but they're saying that Muslims created this. So if I say they didn't, I would be attacking Muslims. And like in the liberal framework, I think their brain would fry. Like, okay, if I say it's the natives, then the Muslims did a fucked up thing. Or if I say it's the Muslims, then the natives did a fucked up thing. And they would just combust back on themselves.
You want to know the funniest part is that most of those Lebanese immigrants into Latin America, I think, were of Maronite or Christian origin, so either Greek Catholic or otherwise.
But you just allow them.
Which would blow.
Now they win.
Which would blow. No. This would blow a liberal's brains. That would be like, what? a Christian Arab? I was like, no, you guys are supposed to be hugga. You're not supposed to be civilized.
Don't you know that the trend? You guys don't have TikTok, but the trend is a guy goes around on people's live streams and says, "Lovely video. Are you Muslim?" And usually it's Americans. And you know what they reply with? They're like, "Oh, thank you very much. No, I'm white," or like, "No, I'm Mexican." No, I'm German actually. Oh no,
oh my god,
I'm Chinese.
Oh my lord.
Oh yeah.
Fine. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Thank you for that beautiful tangent, you opening. But another interesting aspect is also the. Like this is getting more, I guess, technical, but the dietary choices. I looked up a bit of research on ideology and food choices, and unsurprisingly, the vast majority of food choices people make are across class lines, like most things. And poor people usually tend to have, first of all, fewer restrictions with which foods they eat, as well as usually more unhealthy food. Meanwhile, people who are of wealthier background, particularly depending on the level of education of the mother, which is an interesting point, tend to eat quote unquote healthier food, more nutritious food, as well as tend to have more restrictions on what kind of food is eaten. But there was some interesting research that I wish to get both your opinions on, which was they try to look at people's political views and certain statements, right, about things regarding food. So I'm gonna quote the small part. Only 73%, so a majority, but still a strange number. Only 73% of Americans support, and I quote, to guarantee a safe food supply, to shut down any company found guilty of producing unsafe food, with the rest thinking there should be less government intervention in food safety. JT, can you please give us a little insight into this American brain rot?
Yeah, I do think that's fairly uniquely American, the hatred of the government to that extent. Like, you eat food regardless of who your favorite politicians are. It's like, no. You will only benefit from being provided safe food.
If it doesn't have several million E. coli colonies in it, I will not eat it.
Oh, God.
If I'm not shitting blood, I will not eat it.
You just bought a fucking cheese that's like 1 month expired. And they tell you in the supermarket, you open it up and it's fucking gangrene up in that motherfucker. It smells like a corpse, and you're like, fuck, I gotta fuck up the state, I gotta eat this some fucking thing. Like, you're bleeding out of your fucking eyes. You're like, fuck the state, bro, fuck the state.
I know somebody. JT, could you please comment on this? Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
No, I'm just flabbergasted here. It's like, I mean, I get it. I understand who these people are that are saying these things, but like, it's food. Like, you want to eat safe food. Just let them have that one victory.
No, are you some kind of liberal? This is a red state, not the good kind of red. Right? Yeah. And here we don't believe in food safety.
The right to bear puking every time I go to a restaurant.
I want to drink my unpasteurized milk. Oh God.
Cheese needs to be green and liquid.
Oh God.
I only drink my milk frothy. Oh my God. I knew a guy who worked at who worked in a restaurant in the US. And he told me that the restaurant he worked in, they had like an underground basement area for where they kept all their food stock, basically. And one time there was the sewer system flooded, right, from the toilets and everything, right? So basically, toilet water and possibly other things ended up flooding this entire area with all these foodstuffs. And on paper, they're supposed to throw it out, get rid of all their stock, and, get new stuff, which they quote unquote did with, signing some papers, but they never actually moved the shit out. They moved it out, had inspection come, and then put the old shit back in. And then they started just fucking serving food again. Oh
my God.
Yeah.
They gave us extra $5 whenever a food expired on the same day. I mean, it's not as awful, but in a U.S. restaurant that I worked in, and I worked in a few, if a food like a already pre-prepared meal was about to expire on the same day, and it was already night shift, and they would have to throw it out, and we would have, at least the restaurant fed us, 2-3 times a day. I mean, you make food, at least you can give us this. But if you wanted like extra $5 for your day, for your whole shift for the day, you could eat the like now expired meal, so they don't have to make an additional meal.
But yeah, so that's an interesting point on food safety. They had a bunch of other shit like, fucking corn subsidies. And I was like, okay, this is too American for my ass. I'm sorry, I have a fucking corn subsidy.
I don't know how they do it. Like, I'm really impressed by everybody that works in kitchens, restaurants, like meat plants, fucking agriculture. I don't know about you guys' opinion, but to me, like, just maintaining all the stats for everything non-fucking stop so that you know that it doesn't go bad is insanely complicated.
We can't plan the economy, all right? It's an impossibility. The market needs to take care of all of it, okay? Ignore the fact that all these people are clearly planning shit. No, okay? The market's supposed to decide that fucking pig's feet.
Motherfuckers told me, right? Motherfucker stole my job. That's exactly what I was going for. No, I'm not kidding. Not motherfucker stole my job. Motherfucker thinks exactly like me. Fucking beautiful. Fucking beautiful. I'm hitting my sweaty, hairy chest right now and like pointing towards the mic. Like, I see you, bro. I see you, bro.
I'm rubbing mine, pretending it's your.
Oh my god, no, that's too much. JT, I will sue. Like, what? If he keeps doing this, I will sue. Okay, I'm kidding.
Let me sexually harass you. What's it? let me steadily lower my hand down your.
You're joking, but my partner is listening to this, and she will find you.
I'm so sorry.
She is from the Balkans. She does not do lawsuits. What do you think? She's from fucking Berlin. She will find you, and she will.
All right.
Cut off all of your man hair because that's why I love you so much.
Yes. All right. Back on track.
Yeah. Yes. So Marxism, great idea.
Yes. One of the research papers that I was reading, a lot of it is very boring fucking research. Like, fucking poor class families ate higher fat content milk. Yeah. Very stupid shit, right? But the one interesting sentence that stood out to me is, in one of the conclusions, they said, developing skills, like mothers, particularly of different families, and parents in general, need to start developing skills to resist pressures from children and to control children's food intake. I just thought the skills to resist pressures from children was funny to me. The idea is like, your kid really wants some sweets or some shit that's unhealthy to them, and then eventually they like beat you down. They don't physically beat you down, but they're cute and you love them, and then they're like, okay, fine, you can have the stupid chocolate or whatever, right? But they beat down. I'm just imagining like some 4-year-olds getting shit.
Isn't that just being a parent? Like you have to balance out the happiness of the child and it like doing cocaine off of your fucking crotch. Like it's you got.
Oh my god. Oh Jesus Christ!
Like, I am suffering from child-induced anxiety, sir. You gave your child crack, but it's my wife just gave birth, and it's really difficult. Sir, your child is 4 years old, but no, you don't understand how difficult it is to be a parent nowadays. Sir, your child is shaking on the ground, overdosed on crack cocaine. Being a parent is now going to become a fucking I'm going to sound like a. What? Please go on. Yeah, I don't want to go there.
No, I completely. Fucking the age of TikTok. Jesus Christ! God forbid you have kids now. Fuck. I mean, sorry, but
no. I love the new generation. It's fucking awesome. It's us, like it's mid generation trying to pretend like they're them. So we're overdoing it, like overinflating. Whole episode could be done.
Sure. The TLD, my point is like, self-image issues, all that fucking bullshit. Anyways. Back on track. Another interesting point that I found was hypermasculinity, or like quote unquote toxic masculinity, and materialism are two factors, the largest factors that lead to worse food choices, particularly health-wise. And being more egalitarian in your politics means you have healthier choices, which is, of course, I mean, you can probably align these more with higher education. The fucking thing gets nuanced and boring referring, but I just found it funny that the quote unquote hyper masculinity and the questions they had, it was like, oh, women should listen to me and shit like this. And the fucking, it was like, sometimes you need to yell at your wife.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was rough.
But it is
oh my god.
It is funny, but it is kind of massive. Like we give shit to vegans and vegetarians all the time, etc., etc. I personally respect them and their choice, but like the idea that just eating meat 24/7 is the masculine thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, the salad and eating grass is like you are a sheep, you're not a real man, etc., etc. I think this is like present in like 100% of world's cultures. Maybe not in some native cultures, etc., etc., where they still are relatively connected to Mother Earth. But for everyone else, it's just being like, I don't know. I can speak about my part of the world. Telling people, like, I was a vegetarian for 5, almost 6 years. Telling people you're veg was a fucking nightmare, man. Like, and you would always hear the same, like the conversation would repeat on loops. I felt like I'm in Groundhog Day every time somebody would realize I'm vegetarian. I never brought it up. That's kind of a meme. Everybody's like, oh, you don't have to guess a vegan or a vegetarian. They're going to bring it up.
Yeah.
No, it's always some dude like staring at what you just ordered, and they realize that you didn't order meat for any of your meals, and they bring it up, and then you comment on it, and then they ask why. And then if you say for health reasons, they go into how, you're not getting enough protein. Or if you go into for moral reasons, they start going like, an animal is not a human and you can kill it and eat it, etc., etc. And then it's super annoying, but I'm going into a convoluted conversation that again would require probably a whole episode. But the how do I say this? Connecting certain types of food to being traditionally masculine and traditionally feminine is this like very old school patriarchal fucking notion, which it's very interesting because it is so embedded into society that even applies to food. Like there's man food, and then there's, I'm gonna say it the way the bigoted people are saying it, liberal, and then there's the bitch food. It's fucking insane. I don't know. Have you guys experienced shit like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go on, JT.
Like it's the same thing with alcohol. Like there's man's drink and there's woman's drink. It's a very just weird, outdated notion of
whiskey on the rocks or whatever you fucking people drink.
And then you come over
here. Can you tell I don't
whiskey
drink?
on the rocks guy comes to my part of the world and they're like, you're putting ice, you fucking bitch.
Yeah. I mean, just imagine that thinking that eating a particular food over another type of food makes you any more of a man.
Are you surprised that this
How tiny is
this
your
is the
pee-pee?
demographic that this is the demographic that thinks cleaning your ass is gay. This is the demographic you're talking about. Are you genuinely surprised? But I was gonna say something very interesting. Is all these people like, you to be a man, meat eating, blah, all that bullshit. This is a consequence, not of being a man. This is a consequence of industrialization and increased, what's it called, industrial farming and whatnot. Mm-hmm. For the vast majority of humanity, we ate almost entirely vegetarian diets. Meat was an incredibly rare treat. You had it once a month, maybe. That's a big maybe, right? Of course, the wealthiest fucking kings and shit, they would have a lot of meat. That's why gout is called fucking king's disease.
Gout? But okay, what is gout?
Gout is basically it's a disease that affects joints. The most common joint affected is the big toe, and it's basically deposition, crystalline deposition, and it causes, it's apparently very, very painful. Anyways, but thank you for that addition for sure. But the thing is, of course, like we mentioned, the idea of like, meat and blah blah. Yeah, you're wrong. Vast majority, all the fucking great quote unquote great heroes that these people probably look up to had probably for the most part, pretty much vegetarian diets. It's not and they're fucking to tie your masculinity, which is apparently so fragile that you have to eat a certain source of protein is just fucking stupid. All right, guys, I have a thing. If you go into the document, there is a link, and it says, "Don't open this link till we're recording."
I didn't.
Please see. Yeah, you're a good boy. I don't believe JT. I believe JT was a little sneaky boy.
I'm not a sneaky boy. I'm an honest boy.
You can open document history.
Okay.
I have not opened it.
You can open document history and see everything somebody did in a document. Just FYI.
Now, please go and view click on the link.
Okay.
Now, you see an image before you.
Yes.
This is from a Wikipedia article titled Social Class Differences in Food Consumption. This particular image that you see is titled File Family Eating Lunch.jpg. It is the weirdest fucking image. It's an African-American family with 2 kids that I think it's one kid that they just photoshopped.
Dude, they cloned the kid.
Are they
cloned the kid. And it's not, black people look the same. They cloned the motherfucking kid. Or it's a twin, obviously.
Yeah, I know, but this is like the weird fucking angle. The kid doesn't look real.
Look how he's holding his hand over the utensils. Like the flat palm of it.
Not only this, first of all, if you don't actually pay attention, it looks like he's sticking his hand into the salad.
And if you're wondering what picture we're talking about, it's the thumbnail of the episode. That's the one we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm fascinated by homie's hairline. Like, look at
it. Is impressive.
I'm just like, at one point you're just gonna shave it off.
Either got the biggest fucking brain on planet Earth, or that hairline is receding more than Jesus opening up Moses opening up the sea right in the motherfucking middle. You know, like he fell asleep at some point and it didn't continue opening up.
It's like in the middle of his head, fam. Just shave the fucking thing. Oh my god, he would put your thumb over his hair, and then you can get an image of what he'd look like bald. He's a good-looking guy. Why?
Just shave that.
Oh my god. Just now look at the fucking dad with the haircut.
Both of the kids are staring directly at the mom because they're terrified of their dad's fucking hairline, bro. This shit hypnotizes the shit out of you. That hairline is so small that the skin is so big that it has its own fucking gravity. You look at that shit, you get fucking zoomed in as if you're a fucking skin magnet, motherfucker.
What's weird, actually, you just pointed this out. Yeah, they're all looking at the mother. That's just so weird. I don't know why. Why is she sitting like a monarch with a goblet in her hand? She has a crab claw around the fucking. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the guy serving. Actually, oh my god, it's the guy serving, and he served for himself. No, the food was already served. All the plates are full with the salad. And in the picture, he's putting the salad down on the table.
Maybe he's the one. Maybe he's, or maybe I don't fucking. I love the dad fit, by the way. The tucking in, the button down, fucking.
That's a vibe. Don't fuck with it. That's a vibe.
That's pulled too
my
tight.
Aesthetic now. That's my aesthetic now.
Habibi,
I got the whole gut
don't
out.
worry.
I have to communicate. Like I still go out as if I was single, so I have to communicate to all the people that are attracted to me in said bar or club that I am unavailable. But, you know, I can put 100 rings on my finger, but I'm so hot that they still come to me. So I have to accentuate the gut to become unattractive. But unfortunately, I think Esquire did a research. 65% of women prefer the dad bod. So I literally don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. It's tough being the PIMP. Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it's like. This is you go think is peak male performance. If you don't like it, then leave. But I was gonna say, guys,
respectfully, I am.
This image was, please. This image was released by the National Cancer Institute.
Oh no! Dude, did I just make fun of the hairline of a person who's going through one of the most horrible diseases
I don't think.
Go fuck yourself.
I don't. No. I don't think he has cancer. I think it's just.
Oh my god, the 2 kids have cancer. Oh my god, the 2 kids have cancer. They're twins and they both have cancer. Oh lord. At least they didn't make fun of them. Okay. Oh shit! No! Oh my god! They're looking at the mother because she has cancer and she's wearing a wig. Oh my god! Oh my god! This is
that really it?
No, probably not. No. I'm making a sketch, bro. Come
guys,
on, don't do it.
Guys, hold on. Guys, description: an African American family sits for lunch. The adult male serves a salad as 2 children, a male and an adult female, looks on. Why is this so weird?
One of these has a cancer. Guess it. That I'm starting a new Kickstarter. Guess the person with cancer in this photo.
And this picture was taken in 2007, by the way.
Oh wow, it's good quality for 07.
So there's more pictures.
No.
Hold on,
yeah. Guys. You know, it's a beautiful picture, and they're all smiling because it's 07, and they have this beautiful home. But in 08, what happened?
Yeah. Oh fuck.
Oh no, they lost it.
Oh my god. I mean, hey, this is the American,
and
the American
and they
dream.
lost the whole house, and the dad was like, "I'm used to loss. Look at my fucking hairline."
Guys, hold on. Here you go.
Oh,
Look at this
man.
fucking natural.
These are so good.
Oh, dude, they're beautiful.
Dear
people,
viewer,
man.
I wish you could see these. I mean, it's the corniest. The fake walk.
It's stock photos. It's stock photos. still.
Oh man, like she's not even moving. She's just smiling and staring off into space, and he's got like one arm cocked and one leg a little bit forward to imitate the
Hold on. I'm gonna send.
It's beautiful because it's a stock photo, and he's obviously like, I wish I was dating this beautiful woman. The way he's looking at her and the way she's looking at him is like, I would never date this fucking no hairline looking ass motherfucker.
Hold on. There's a variant where the guy, the father, is looking just slightly ever so different.
Oh yeah.
The mother, and it looks so creepy. Oh my fuck. All right, and now I'm gonna send you guys the last one. This one's titled "Family Drinking Juice." So hold on. Where the fuck? Hold on. Here you go. Enjoy. There you go. Look at the dad. Look how proud he is.
Oh man.
Oh, my
Oh,
God.
dear viewer, it's the mother pouring juice for the two children. One of them has already apparently drunk half of his juice very swiftly. The other one is getting his topped up, and the dad is in the background leaning on the counter with his own juice, smiling at his family.
He looks like he's about to spill the fucking drink. By the way, I love the fact that there are no drink marks on the little on the kids on the left glass. So it looks like she's favoriting. Fuck, that's not right English.
We will add all of these photos in a Imgur link. Just guys, please remind me, so that the viewers can properly experience it. But you know what the dad looks like? He looks like, oh my God, the bank called for a foreclosure. I cannot fucking tell them. This fucking orange juice is too fucking expensive for us to afford now. What the fuck is this woman doing pouring a full cup of it? The kids can't even drink it. We always end up throwing half of this shit away. And look, right next to the fucking orange juice, there's like a bunch of fruit that we buy every week so that when the neighbors come in, they can't say, oh, it's the poor black family that moved in, because it's now the rich black family because we have bowls of fruit all over the fucking house. So yeah, just this, his eyes dying on the inside is something that if you're on your phone, on your computer, you should definitely open up and see. It's a moment captured.
The last point I'll add, point I'll add to this segment is if you look behind the orange pouring scene, you see the table where the salad table is behind there. It looks like it was bad. It looks so sad.
Stock footage, family cinematic universe.
Oh, fuck. All right, we're gonna send all this shit. It'll be in the show notes or something, so you guys can enjoy. All right, there's a few more points I want to add in here. Just to get them out. Part of the research also that we saw was something a bit cringe. I'll just quote it. According to French sociologist Pierre Bourdieu, French is a waste of time. The food consumed by the upper classes. The food consumed by the upper classes reflect tastes of refinement. And I wrote, the biggest sack of shit I've ever heard, because as you know, rich people they eat stuff because of prestige, what the fuck. And the example that came to mind immediately was either Chinese or Turkish food, which for the most part is in highly refined cuisine, way more refined than any fucking garbage and disappointingly like Western European quote unquote expensive food.
Yeah.
But those cuisines are usually quote unquote fast food types in Europe or in North America and whatnot, despite the fact that again it's an incredibly rich cuisine that's also far more refined, far more seasoned, far more sophisticated, at least in technique and in preparation. But oh no, you haven't fucking broiled the salmon and put fucking a leek on it. So
case in point, rich people put gold on their food sometimes. You can't taste that. Like there's no way you can taste the leaf of gold and think that tastes good or adds anything to the meal.
It needs to be in my... I need to take a shit. I don't want to see gold flakes. I want it to twinkle at me like a star.
To me, it's kind of beautiful. Like, eating gold is like the most ideological action that you can do, which in a way kind of rids you of ideology. It's so honest, It's so honest. It's like, I am doing this to flex, which I can respect much more than somebody pretending, oh, I am doing this because I appreciate the culture of what this chef created for me. No, man, I'm fucking eating like tasteless gold. Like I'm doing this to flex on you peasants. It's much more honest. I prefer that type of bourgeois. I prefer the bourgeois of the 15th fucking century that only ate pineapple because it cost more than diamond at the time for like 500 different reasons. Not because pineapple tastes good. It's the we have lost the honest bourgeois, and that's why we they infiltrate among our ranks far too much.
Among us.
They're among us.
Well, again, Habibi, whether they like to eat gold flakes because they're what's it called, gluttonous pieces of shit, or they're pretending to be more refined, whatever the fuck. Either way, both of them get the bullet. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
No, I think one can be refined. One can be, one can be taught.
Yeah. You can refine the gold back out of their bodies after you're done. Oh god, I'm sorry, that was too much. Oh my god. Oh fuck. You can extract the iron from all their blood and fucking, I don't know, make the throne of the people or something. I don't know. Anyways, build the pillars of some hospital with it. So the another thing is this is something actually that I want to get JT's opinion on, and we're gonna start wrapping up slowly after this. But the concept of a what's it called, a food desert.
Yeah.
Not only that, but also of course, as everybody knows, price and availability of healthy food is more common in high income areas, and less common in low income areas, because guys, of course, the market fills a need. Right? Everything you need, the market will fill it. Poor people don't need healthy food, all right? Exactly. But yeah, and this concept of food deserts and whatnot. JT, could you please comment on this?
Yeah. So it's actually very interesting. The U.S. has a big problem with hunger and malnutrition. And in my opinion, that's one of the clearest examples of the contradictions inherent to capitalism. So you've got the richest country on earth. You've got something like 50 million people not getting enough to eat or not getting enough nutritious food. That's 1 in 6 Americans, which is absurd. And what's particularly striking to me is that this is a trend across the entire country. It's not just in cities or wherever. It's cities and rural areas and suburbs. So take farmers, for example, people who literally have the ability just to pull food from the earth. Even these people suffer from malnutrition, and part of the reason for that is that many of the crops they produce, especially corn, are intended not to feed humans, but to feed like cattle and other livestock, and to produce cooking oil, and especially to get processed into sweeteners, which is an epidemic in the U.S., high fructose corn syrup. But the most surprising statistic for a lot of people is that Americans in the suburbs, the places we consider insulated, well-off communities, are also experiencing this lack of nutrition. Across the country, there are entire communities where people simply can't afford nutritious food. But that's not the only problem. In places like Houston, many, many thousands of Americans live in what's called, Hakeem, as you said, a food desert. A food desert is a place where people live more than half a mile from a supermarket, and they can't get there easily because they don't have transportation. In the U.S., getting places basically requires a car, because we don't have any real public transportation to speak of, and, you might say that, half a mile's not that far to walk. Unless you want to get run down by an SUV the size of a small aircraft carrier, you need to drive. It's incredibly dangerous to walk anywhere in the States.
Happened to my girlfriend,
especially
literally
places
in
like
the
Texas.
States.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, they're just giant killdozers.
That is if you don't get shot.
Yeah, you're going to die one way or the other. You need a big machine to protect you. But you add to this challenge the fact that healthy food is much more expensive than the toxic, mass-produced junk food that we have. And you've got the perfect storm. All of this together is why the U.S. simultaneously has a hunger and malnutrition crisis and an obesity crisis. It's a structural problem that really, it's bizarre to look at from the outside. You think like, okay, how are there so many people who are struggling with obesity, but also 50 million people who aren't getting the nutrition they need? It's a very bizarre problem, but when you break it down to its core components, it makes complete sense. Like the food that's being produced, the healthy food that farmers are producing is getting shipped to, Whole Foods in the middle of LA and not to their local communities. That's the guiding hand of the profit motive is not feeding people.
Very interesting to note this, and particularly because of how, again, like you said, it's the wealthiest country on earth, and this fucking several points. Number one, the market fills a need, always. Number two, you don't need it's impossible to plan, of course. And number three, what the fuck's it called? American dream. Okay, what are you, some sort of communist? And number four, all right, you want people to be fed? What are you, bleeding heart liberal? Because again, that fucking statement always made me fucking laugh, because I mean, no, I'm not even gonna get into it.
Number five. Look, even our poorest are well fed.
Oh yes,
that is such a strong argument. Like, it's awful. Obviously, when you look at all of the factors, it's fucking disgusting. But to somebody from outside, when I went to the States, it was a comment once, but we passed a bunch of homeless people in Miami, And literally the dude like hit me with, again, a poor guy from my part of the world. He hit me with his elbow and he was like, dude, in this motherfucking country, even the fucking homeless are fucking fat as fuck. Like, literally. So it's a propaganda tool. That's what I'm saying. But yes. Sorry, Kim.
No, it's completely fine. I always really hated this fucking thing because they're idiots who are like, capitalism is so good because look at the U.S. We have more fat people than people starving.
Yeah.
You are such a fucking idiot because you don't understand that calories does not mean that this. There's something called marasmus and kwashiorkor. These two are the primary types of malnutrition that you see medically, right? Marasmus is basically not enough calories. Kwashiorkor, on the other hand, is a lack. You have enough caloric intake, but you don't have enough protein. So as a result, you see usually the very big bellies. I'm not saying that this is what Americans have, no, but if you've seen those pictures of the Ethiopian famines of a bunch of decades ago, for example, and you see the small kids with really big bellies, that's what you're seeing. You're seeing kwashiorkor, right? My point being is that in the United States, it's not back to this level. But if you're consuming 4,000 fucking calories a day and there's no nutrition in what you're eating, it's just straight carbs. There's no fucking nothing. That doesn't mean that you're being fed. You're killing yourself in a different way, right? It's just so. Oh God. But yeah, and it's a completely it's a stupid opinion from somebody who doesn't understand the science of human nutrition. And by the way, the mental effects of this, which I also want to touch on. One of the biggest issues, I think the population on Earth that is most affected by stress and emotional eating is the United States, which, by the way, affects the poorest sections of the population usually. And in the United States, this can be as high as 40% of the American population, which basically, because of the stresses of life, from work, from debt, from a million fucking other things, they end up basically exactly as the term is, emotional stress eating. Everybody's is probably familiar with it. They gorge themselves on food, usually food that isn't good for them, usually highly caloric, but with absolutely no other nutrition. This shit ruins you over a course of a lifetime. And of course, this is not to say because it makes you fat. That's not my point. I'm saying that you're not getting enough nutrients, right? You have a variety of nutritional deficiencies as a result of this. Not only this, but then this predisposes you to other diseases in the future that will ruin your life further because you won't be able to afford the medical care required to treat those issues in the first place. It's a sort of argument that an idiot.
And I can see in the future, them making when food scarcity increases as unipolarity gets fucked up, etc. We talked about this 50 times in previous episodes. But if the US ever hits a point where general food scarcity starts existing, the government's gonna say, this is actually good for you. We are finally addressing the problem with the over-availability of food. Tighten your belt, literally lose some weight, you fat fuck. That will literally be a campaign slogan. I can fucking they will take starvation and they will turn it into a potentially good thing.
People are fucking And by the way, also industrialization is the reason that this proliferation of food, and also again, it's not fucking capitalism. It's just, oh my God, there are obese people in socialist countries as well. Does that mean it was good? No. All right. The end period USSR had some questionable choices for or health outcomes for their populations as a result of the food they would eat, which usually meant a larger intake of meats, larger intake of animal fats as well, amongst many other things. But yeah, but just to wrap this all nicely up on this point, in the Soviet Union, for the most part, or most socialist countries, if you actually look into the research, 100% of socialist countries provided at least 100% of the caloric requirement, as well as nutritional requirement of their population, as compared to far less of a percentage for capitalist countries.
And that does not include food quality. It does not calculate for food quality, which degrades massively the more market reforms you introduce to a place.
And this will probably be a discussion in the future with a relevant agriculture expert, which I have a person in mind actually for that. To do this, but this is just a point. All right, the richest country on earth has 40 million people starving. Meanwhile, the USSR was fucking vibing. So yes, fuck capitalism and yeah.
Actually,
good night.
They say people were starved in gulags, and then somebody else will say no, but they were given 3 meals a day, and then that same person would say, but those were extremely non-nutritious, like slobs being put on a piece of plate. Okay, sure, let's agree, but then what would you call like probably like 40% of your population eating on a daily basis?
Yeah.
So in a sense,
Not only this,
they are all living in a massive gulag without a fence outside.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's true. The United States is one big gulag. You have fucking cops roaming around ready to put a bullet in you, right? And debt collectors coming to break your legs. Jesus Christ, dystopia. But, like, of course, there's a bit of hyperbole there. But at the end of the day, you're supposed to be the richest country of on Earth with the highest standard of human rights and democracy and equality and this and that and this and that. But yeah, what I was gonna say is this is also not conveniently not mentioning that prison food in the United States is more nutritious than school meals, which, by the way, some kids have to go into fucking debt to be able to afford. Oh my god, it's like, oh, this fucking what's it called? These kids, they opened a lemonade stand to help their classmate in school food debt because his fucking cancer-ridden mother needs to pay for her chemo treatment. Oh, how inspiring!
I hate that stuff so much.
Food for kids.
It's so frustrating to me because I think the clearest indicator of the health of a country is how it treats its children, and the United States just completely fails in every regard, from nutrition to safety, everything.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? A kid can go into.
Oh no! Here it comes.
If a kid is hungry, then he can just go to go to school. You're gonna get shot, and then you won't be hungry anymore.
Oh god! I was wondering how you were gonna do it.
Anyways,
this was supposed to be a light episode.
Think about the hairline of the
Go look at the
African American, the orange drinking.
Program makes
weird
fun of
twin
black
kids.
man in his family.
Oh my god. Oh no, it's not. Jesus Christ. It could be fucking any other ethnicity. It's the hairline. That's the point. It's like at one point you have to commit,
taken
right?
the
It's
role
like,
of the liberal in the walls.
you fucking dick.
All right, that's enough for today. Thank you all for listening. Hope you enjoyed the food show. This has been the Deprogram. I'm taking this over. I'm JT.
All right. I'm Hakeem.
And now you got me drink sparkling water, you goddamn degenerates.
I want some of that orange juice they're drinking.